Hi, everyone. Hi, Dara.
Hi.
Happy Wednesday.
I feel like the week is like flying by.
It's flying by,
I
but
can't believe
we
it's
are
already Wednesday.
here on Adobe Live. I'm here with Idara. Uh, so exciting to have you. And we have a connection already. So you guys, I know this girl and she is major, like she's so talented. So you guys are in for a treat for the next 2 days, doing a little photo editing stream with her.
I'm so excited. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm
Yes, thank you
a little
guys.
nervous, but we're gonna go
Oh,
through
we are going to
it.
go through it. I'm right here. The chat is super supportive. So say hi, you guys. Tell us where you're watching from. I'd love to know because we've got people joining from like all over. So it's super exciting to see where everyone's at. But just to name a few, hi, Cody. Hi, Robert. Hi, Drishti. Hi, Biola. Yuma. So exciting. Thank you guys for joining us. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that the daily Photoshop creative challenges, they're replaying. So every morning, every weekday at 9 a.m., Voodoo Val has been giving them. So if you want to challenge yourself and create some work, learn some new Photoshop techniques, make sure to check that out. There should be a little challenge tab above the chat where you can find out all that information. But yeah, we are so excited to have Idara here. We have a photo editing stream. She'll be working in Lightroom and Photoshop and kind of working on some self-portraits.
Yeah,
What I'm hearing.
it's quite interesting because it's like when I edit my self-portraits, I edit them in my room by myself for me. So it's for me to do
You know
edit
what?
pictures of myself with
That is
y'all,
that is a definition of self-love and
self-love.
just, self-care. Love it.
This is a moment of vulnerability. I'm being
Literally.
vulnerable right now and showing
Yes.
y'all, my whole process of editing me.
Yes, I am obsessed. We've already got some people chiming in. So we've got, let's see, Robert's from Sweden. We have Crystal
Oh,
from Ashburn, Virginia, near Washington, D.C. Janine is from Texas. Steve is from New Zealand.
oh,
We've got
wow.
Drishti from Mumbai, India. Oh, I love
Wow.
it. Alicia from
Hey, y'all.
Oregon. Yuma from Mali, but watching from Spain.
Oh,
Kiyashi says,
wow.
hey from Florida. Sunny in Massachusetts. Oh, so exciting, you guys.
Oh, we are all over the
We
place.
are
I
all over
love
the
it.
map. Yes, we are international here at Adobe Live. So
Yes.
very exciting. Thank you, Cody, for plugging in the link to the Daily Creative Challenges. But for anyone who's new to you, Idara, can you please give us a little spiel about yourself and
Yeah.
love to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. My name is Idara Ekpoh. I am a portrait photographer, educator, creative director, currently based out of
Yes.
Phoenix, Arizona. I am Nigerian American as well, so I am of Nigerian descent. So that's something that I'm really prideful about
Yeah,
and try to show
absolutely.
throughout my work. But I've been shooting for almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in January, and really the entire premise of my work is just focusing on visual storytelling and capturing my community. So
Oh, love
people
it.
that essentially look like me. When I started, before I got into photography, I remember always feeling like there weren't enough images of Black people, Black women, Black
Yeah.
men, just
And that
positive.
celebrates them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for us to be able to see positive images of our own communities. And I think that
100%.
photography for me is a medium that allows me to, share the voices of the people in my community. A lot of the people you're seeing here are friends that I'm like, hey, like, let's go do a shoot.
Okay, but how amazing is that all of us who have been in photography, we start out by shooting our friends. Is
That's
that the case?
it,
Like, that's just how it happens,
you
like, right?
know.
That's the first available model that we all have.
Yeah, so I'll like plan the entire shoot, but then I'll just be like, hey, like, are you at least comfortable? And they're always like, yeah, like, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And so these are just some friends, and
Okay,
it
beautiful
helps create
friends
the,
though. Are you
yeah.
kidding me? Like, stunning.
Yeah, so I've been shooting for about a little bit over 5 years now, almost six. And so just really focusing on creating images. This is actually my best friend. She got
Oh,
married last year, and so being able to capture her and just really, again, using photography as a medium to capture the people that I love, tell the stories of those in my community.
yes.
And so that's a little bit about me and my work. Today, what we'll be really talking about is more so self-portraits. So I actually, and I have my Instagram here if y'all want to go and check that
follow
out.
her. It's oh yeah, it's Itty. So
You'll see.
Go check her out, follow her, give her some love.
It's so weird again because you come on here and you just see so many pictures of my face.
But that's like your brand. Like that's you. Like that is how people come to know you. I feel like your self-portraits are just like an eye into your world, or like a little peek into your world. So I mean, it's incredible. So I'm excited.
It's funny. It's funny because when I started, I didn't have many photos of myself, and so to go from like no images of myself to capturing myself every single week. And so that's where Self-Portrait Sunday was really birthed out of, COVID. Yes. It was really, in that season of isolation where we can't really do anything, we were stuck in our homes. I wasn't going out and shooting with other people. So then I really wanted to make sure that I was still focusing on my craft. And so I wanted to focus on, becoming my own subject, becoming my own muse. And so essentially at the beginning of COVID, I want to say it started actually after Easter Sunday. So like towards the end of April. Mm-hmm. And so I focused on just kind of every week I would take a new self-portrait. And so these are kind of all the different self-portraits that I've put out and I've released. And it's just so weird because I went from never capturing myself to telling my friends or like my audience, I guess, on Instagram, like, hey, y'all, I'm going to post a picture of myself every single week. And I'm going to try to make it look different, try to come up with the new theme, a new idea, and just concepts. Different concepts, and be able to show the versatility that I have as not only as Idara, but as a Black woman, my hair, and all those different things as well.
Yes, I love it. I mean, multidisciplinary, everything, just love it. So good. So
I look back to, and I always try to encourage people to take self-portraits because they kind of, not only do the photos in the self tell a story, but it reminds me of probably how I felt that day. And when I think of self-portraits, it's kind of redefining a selfie. So it's not just this vain thing of me like taking a picture of myself because I look cute, but it's allowing myself to kind of explore my identity in different forms.
Yeah, explore the different parts of you because, absolutely.
So that's what we'll be focusing on today. So we'll be focusing on self-portraits. I actually have a couple of self-portraits that have already been out that I've edited maybe like earlier this year or last year that are already on my Instagram. But I thought it'd be fun to re-edit some self-portraits to see, do they look the same as the last ones? Do they look any different?
I mean, you can grow as a person like so much even in a year. So
you literally can.
Absolutely. I love watching these kinds of edits where you like go back and edit like an older photo where you're like, oh, I probably would have done this differently. Or like, then you get to see the differences and you're like, whoa, like, look at how much I've grown, or maybe like, or maybe change your style or anything like that. So,
and I think like the thing about like photography as a whole, like when I edit, like, and we'll talk about color theory and things of that nature throughout. But when I edit, I do try to be intentional before that point while I'm, planning a shoot as far as colors and things I want to incorporate. But when I get to the editing process, it's just kind of like how I feel. I don't have like any kind of magic or order. I just kind of like, I'm all over the place. So I hope y'all follow along and I'll explain everything as I go. But
perfect.
It's really great to just allow the photo to speak to you and just like, as you're editing things.
Let it drive you.
And let it drive you.
So, let it drive you. Love it.
So we'll get into that.
So exciting. I've already got some people commenting. Hob says, hello from Singapore. Love your works.
Oh, thank you.
Yuma says, beautiful. Cody says, your makeup is gorgeous, Idara.
Oh!
Janine says, beautiful. Ingrid, love those pom-poms. Robert says, and I have only about 40 photos of myself on year 65. So exciting. Love it.
Awesome. I'm so excited. And then real quickly, I wanted to point out this image that you see on this background is another shot that I took. It's one shot that I took in the dunes. So I'm really excited. And if you guys want to be back here tomorrow, we'll go into visual storytelling and what that looks like when I plan projects and bring those images and ideas to life.
Amazing.
So wanted to plug that because this is like my
Absolutely
favorite photo that I've like ever taken.
It's beautiful. No, I love it. So guys, make sure to come back tomorrow,
Yes.
9:30 a.m. PST.
Make sure to come back.
And by the way, this stream will be available for replay afterwards. So, you know, if you have to step out or, you know, if you have to head out, don't worry, it'll be available. And real quick, actually, before we get going, if you are watching on YouTube, come on over to Behance, you guys, because you have the chat available on Behance, and that way you can interact with Idara, ask questions, and engage with her. So come on over to Behance, behance.net/live, and yeah, come hang with us and the whole crew. Oh my God, I love all this yellow.
I know. This is so, it's funny because the one thing that I always, so when I'm planning a shoot, one of the things that I try to keep in mind is the location. Sometimes I'm good about finding the location beforehand. And sometimes it's just a matter of like, I'm driving and I just kind of like, I'm driving on my way to a shoot and I change the location because I passed somewhere that I really wanted to incorporate. And this was one of those times. And so this was just a random location that I found. It's somewhere in Phoenix. And so we'll talk about these images tomorrow. But
we didn't talk about that. You're from Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh yes, girl. I'm from the heat, like the dry, hot Phoenix, Arizona. Which really, it's great because I can really shoot at any time of the year, whether that's like summer, winter, like there's no seasons here. So it's just hot. Nice. But we're going to go ahead and get started in Adobe Lightroom Classic. I personally like to use Classic. I sometimes use the cloud version of Lightroom. That's more so if I am going to be like editing from my desktop, which I'm on today, to like an iPad. But if I'm editing like a lot of photos or inputting like entire project, which I get trigger happy. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm shooting, you can even see here, like, Idara, like, relax.
You know what? It's totally fine. I feel like there's duality in photography, right? You're either the one that shoots a lot or you're the one that's very intentional and only does, you know, a few shots. There's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's your art.
Exactly. I have like this fear of like, you know, I'm going to get into, you know, editing and I'm like, oh, like the photo is out of focus or something. I didn't notice something. So I always tend to overshoot. And then I usually import my images into Adobe Lightroom so that I can kind of make my selection. So the first thing that I always do is I try to create a new catalog. So because I'm editing in Classic, I have to back up everything on my hard drive. Yeah. So if you saw here on my desktop, I have 2 different hard drives that are sitting here. So I always try to start a new catalog just to kind of keep things clean. So we're going to go ahead and do that today.
Nice.
Let me make sure I'm saving it to the right catalog because one of these hard drives are full. Okay, so I'm going to call this Adobe Live. And then I create that folder and it's going to close it and then open it back up with a clean slate. That way, you know, when I import my images, everything is kind of clean. I don't feel like I'm mixing this with another project. Yes. And then the great thing is that it's backed up on my hard drive. So if I decide, you know, maybe today I'm doing these edits and then tomorrow I want to edit on my laptop, I just plug in my hard drive, open that catalog, and all of my edits are saved. That's perfect. I really, really love that. So I'm going to go ahead and import my photos.
Perfect.
Which actually, I don't even do them this way. The way that I do it, I usually just open up my
just drag it?
I
always drag it too.
I always drag it over. So I think this is the folder. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and drag this over to Lightroom Classic.
Nice.
And import our images. Bam. So you'll see here.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. I know exactly, know these images. So the fact that I'm seeing them like raw, unedited is wild.
It's so weird. I'm not gonna lie. It took me, even now when I shoot self-portraits, I tend to feel like so uncomfortable because it's like you have to be vulnerable to do this, right?
Yes.
Like I usually don't like people taking my pictures because I'm like, oh, I don't like how I look in that shot, or sometimes I feel like the image doesn't represent what I look like in real life. And you see this face, you know, I'm popping. So I'm trying to make sure that I capture that is a big thing. But I really love that, again, that the duality and just allowing myself to be free in each of these images and seeing what basically being able to turn myself into a form of art.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have some different self-portraits here. And what I also want to talk about, the biggest thing that goes into just planning before shooting, right, is kind of thinking about what you want to incorporate into your images. So the first thing that I'll actually say is I find a space to shoot in. So I shoot all of my self-portraits in this bedroom that you see me in. My light source is usually it is just natural light. So I have this big window that in my room right now is providing all of this light. And that's what I utilize to shoot any of my portraits. I don't have soft boxes and all that stuff because I don't have the space for it right now.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's amazing. I'm glad that you pointed that out because I feel like most people tend to think that they need to have all these things to create beautiful work, and you don't. You can really just strip it down. Your equipment is not should not define who you are as a photographer.
Exactly.
You know, go out and do your thing, do your art, and you can create beautiful work like Idara.
Thank you. But no, that's true, because it's like, you know, the one thing that I love is like you can really play with light. And I'll quickly bring up this image because whether it's shooting with natural light and it's overcast, or if it's a really, really harsh sunny day. I actually posted this photo set earlier, a couple of days ago, to just show you like how much you can really play with the natural light that you are given, that's provided to you, that we all have access to. So I always try to encourage people, especially, you know, while we were stuck at home, you know, you can utilize the light that you have access to. So I literally set up right in front of my bed. You tend to utilize fabric backdrops just because they're cheaper than me purchasing seamless backdrops. I got backdrops like this one I got this one off of Amazon because I wanted to do like a cloud dreams kind of series. This was fabric as well, and then this one was fabric as well. So I go straight to my fabric store, just the local one. I think I went to Joanne Fabrics. And little tip, I don't know if I should say this or not, if you're just using the fabric for a self-portrait, I tend to take it back. As long as you don't cut it, I always return it.
So, I mean, you know what? A lot of prop stylists return things, so don't even feel bad.
You know? But it's really great because when you go in the fabric store, there is an endless supply of colors, textures, all of these different things that can be utilized in your images. So that's one thing. So I'll do all of that. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to set up in my bedroom. I got my fabrics. I try to think about, you know, what colors do I want to bring into my images? What specific emotion or what theme do I have? So when you look at these different images, this one, I'm laughing, right? So I remember and I'll show you guys what the final image looked like as well, just so you have an idea. It's somewhere in here.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Perfect. So these were the two final images from this specific self-portrait session. And I think the greatest thing about photography is that it can really be utilized to capture an emotion that you may have had in that moment, to kind of tell a story about the time, you know, the times, the way society was, whatever might have been going on, and how you can really utilize that to tell a story. And I remember this was last year. We had everything going on with Black Lives Matters, all of the emotion and just the anger that a lot of us were feeling. And I remember wanting to capture that in a self-portrait. And so I had two different self-portraits, and I wanted to incorporate the color red. And so we'll talk about, again, color theory and how really colors can be utilized to bring your images to life, because colors have emotion, right? So when you look at a specific color, it makes you feel a certain way. When I look at the color red, I think of anger. I think of frustration. I also think of love and passion, right? So those are two different types of emotions. Like there's love and there's anger. Those are completely two different things, but they're both associated with the color red. And so I wanted to utilize this in this portrait because at that time when I took it, I was really, really angry because of everything that was going on. But I was also feeling immersed in love by how much, my family, my friends, our communities were coming together to talk about and to support. So I wanted to capture that in a self-portrait. So you have this one on the left that's like more of a stern look. I got a little bit of red in my eyes to give you that fire flame. Like, ooh, she's passionate, she's angry, she's enraged. Then you have this one where I'm smiling and it's like, it could look like it's a Colgate image because of how white my teeth are. But I'm immersed in love and I love the fabric. I wanted to have the fabric really consume me. So I wanted, I use tulle because tulle, like it's the structure of it. So it just adds a lot of dimension to your photos and your images. So that's kind of the backstory of the self-portrait. And we'll start with this one because it is probably one of my favorite ones just because of how I was feeling on that day. And then we have some other shots here that we'll go into. I'll probably edit these two. This one was more of like, I had actually just watched Beyonce's Black is King. And I was so inspired by all of the images in that specific film. And so inspiration can really come from anywhere, whether it's your real life, what you saw on TV, etc. It can really be utilized to really fuel your art and just kind of create that creativity for you.
I love it.
We're going to get started with this image. We're going to get into the fun stuff. So the first thing that I do when I'm editing is I import my images into Lightroom Classic, and then I come over here to all of my different editing sliders. So I tend to, depending on the image, I tend to decide, okay, do I want to do a lot of this in Lightroom Classic or do I want to do more of it in Photoshop? So we'll be utilizing both of the applications today. I tend to find that for me, Photoshop, when it comes to color grading, has a bit more freedom, especially when it comes to targeting images. I'll show you what I mean by that. But I still like to prep my images in Lightroom, especially because that's where I imported them to. So the first thing I'll probably do here is kind of, increase the exposure a little bit. I tend to like to add a little bit of warmth. So just to warm up the image, but you don't want to do it too much because I don't want to be looking like an Oompa Loompa. Like, I don't want to look like that, right? Right. You just want to slightly kind of just to add some warmth and color and really so you can really clearly see the colors that are within your image. Then I come down here, I might add a little bit of contrast to make things pop a little bit. And again, there's no science behind this. I really just mess with these sliders until I get what I want. And that's the great thing about, editing. You just like mess around until you get something.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna, let's see, do I want to do anything here? No, I don't want to use that.
I have a couple of quick questions while you're editing. Robert says, what do you use for camera for these photos?
Oh, that is a good question. So I use, so now I have different equipment, but when I was taking all these self-portraits, I actually shot with a Canon 6D. And then I will either utilize the Sigma 35 millimeter lens or the 50 1.4. I think the 50 is like the one that's like maybe $200-$300. So not too expensive. But I utilize that. And then I have like a tripod. I had to repurchase the tripod I used at the beginning of self-portrait subject was like a $15 tripod that was not like holding my camera equipment. Once that broke, I used to use like a stack of books to hold my camera up. And then I got myself like a nice tripod from Best Buy. So I'll have that as my setup. And then I also have like an Adobe, I keep saying Adobe. I have a remote that I got from Amazon.
Yes. Okay. That was my next question. Somebody asked how without using self-timer, what do you use?
Yeah. So I use a remote. So essentially on my camera, if you look into your camera settings, usually where you can see like, continuous shooting, single shooting, there's usually an option for remote shooting. And so with that comes a self-timer. So you can either set it for 2 seconds or 10 seconds. I tend to do the 2 seconds because I'm impatient. But so basically I'll just kind of set it. and then I'll get into my position, and then I'll just press the button, pose, press the button, pose, press the button, pose. I tend to shoot with a wider aperture. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I don't know all the technical terms to photography, so
that's okay. I mean, I think a lot of us, I mean, I definitely, technical terms, you know what, art is art,
art is art.
You can get technical if you want, but if you get to where you need to go, you're good.
Exactly. But I tend to shoot with a wider apertures, and that way I can make sure I'm getting more in focus, just because I'm not focusing on anything. I'm not behind the camera really seeing what's going on. I don't have a flip out screen so I can see myself. You can, if you are shooting with Canon specifically. I know that they do have, like, you can use like the Bluetooth settings to be able to see, at least on another monitor to see what you're doing. I don't got the time to do all that. Like, so I don't do that. I just kind of, it's a game of guess,
Oh, interesting. Okay. Love it. Well, you're nailing it.
So I'll just kind of move the camera where I think I want it to be. And then as I'm shooting, I'll be able to correct, like, okay, it's a little bit too far this way, or I'm not in focus, and I'll be able to make those adjustments that way.
Nice. Awesome.
Perfect. So you can imagine, like, for this shot, I mean, this was the raw image. So the fact that I even got it, like, I don't even want to crop this image. Like, this was exactly what I want to work with.
Exactly what you want.
It doesn't always happen that way, but sometimes, we get a nice little crop like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a tiny bit of clarity. I don't put too much because I don't want, like, the image to be too strong and sharp. Then I come down to my tone curve. Again, it's just me messing around with these sliders until I kind of get what I want. So it's more so prepping my image for when I'm going to go into Photoshop. So I think I'm kind of good there. And
love it.
So what we're going to do, and the reason why I love to, again, use Photoshop, and I'll show you guys this in a moment, is that, like, Lightroom is really great. These sliders are really, really great in Lightroom, but sometimes, especially if I'm editing a color that's in my skin, I need to be careful, right? So if I start to increase this red, you can't see, but, like, my tongue, my gums, a little bit of my skin. If I increase the orange, these are two colors that you see in your skin. And I want to make sure that I'm targeting one specific color opposed to, editing the entire image one way. But if there's, like, a secluded color, then I usually use the slider. So, like, majority of this is red. I can increase this a bit if I wanted to, but I'm going to play around in Photoshop for that. So what I do is, if you're on a Mac, I just press Control, I right click. So you're just going to right click, and you're going to go down to Edit In, and then Edit in Adobe Photoshop 2020.
That's my favorite way, honestly.
Oh, like, I love it.
Because then it once, as soon as you save it in Photoshop, the new version comes out.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it so much. So then, bam, we have the image that is sitting right here. Okay. All right, perfect. So we're good to go. So the first thing that you always want to do, I'm actually going to make this a little bigger so I can see everything. The first thing I always do is I duplicate my layer. So you can press Command J to create a new layer, or you can actually drag this down. So this little plus button down here is, like, to add a new layer. You can drag your photo down, and you're going to create a copy of your background.
Nice.
I like to do that because if I, for some reason, do not like the edits that I'm making, I can at least delete that layer, opposed to editing everything on this original and I'm stuck and I have to start all over. So this is what I love to do just to kind of get started. And you can kind of rename your layers too. I try to do that just to kind of keep order.
Organized.
Because sometimes some photos are just, like, a little bit tweaking here and there. And then some of them, like, I'll have like 38 layers. Like, so it might be a lot. So I'm just going to call this, I'm just going to keep this background. Or no, I don't know. We're just going to call it red portrait.
Okay.
Bam. So the first thing that I'm going to do, that I do with really any of my editing, and again, when I was doing Self-Portrait Sunday, it was to kind of test out a lot of my skill. I wanted to make sure that I was still working on my skin editing, still working on all of those different techniques, So then that way, when the world is open and I'm shooting with my clients again, I'm not rusty. I've been really practicing on those skills throughout the year.
Okay, so, love that.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start with editing my skin. Now, I do apologize because I have an action for this and I don't remember how I created the action or where it came from.
I am pretty sure there are actions out there that you can either purchase or that are available for free.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, actually, now that I remember, Jessica Kobesi, who's another photographer, I hosted her, I don't know how long ago, maybe last month. She has, I think, separation action on her website or something like that. But even if you just search it up, I'm sure you can find it.
Yep. And I think that I probably got it one of those ways. It's so helpful, especially because I don't have to go through. When I first started doing skin editing, I would do all the little things, steps, the little steps. It's too much. So
it's too much.
The greatest thing about actions is that it saves all of those layers for you. So then that way, when you're ready to use them, it just applies it all at once and you don't have to go through each of those steps, right? So if you can see here, I have frequency separation. I'll just press play to kind of add that action. And then right here, you can see frequency separation, the folder's already there. And then I have my 2 layers.
Very nice.
The first thing that I'm gonna do here is, just like I duplicated my background, I'm gonna duplicate the skin copy or the skin layer. Reason why is if I am doing skin editing and I'm like, ooh, this is too much, or I don't like what this looks like, I can delete the copy opposed to, having to start all over. So I always love to create extra layers. That way I don't have to start all over later on.
Yes.
What I'm also going to do, does anyone have any questions? I thought you paused.
I was just looking. You know me so well. A couple comments. Fairy says, colors are really powerful lighting too. Robert, a little props can do wonder to a photo, which is absolutely true. Yuma's asking, do you have tips to be more photogenic?
Oh, so this is so weird. So I do a thing. If y'all follow me on Instagram or you watch my story, the one thing I always talk about is I'm like, you know what? You can't talk to me anyhow. Like nobody can speak to me anyway because I am Idara and I am that girl, Yes. And it's just a sense of like me having that self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
So I usually look in the mirror and I'll kind of, give myself a little pep talk. Like, you look good. The way somebody said my makeup was looking good, I'm like, girl, I already told myself that this morning in the mirror before I got here. I literally was like, I look good. If you go to my story right now, I was talking about how my eyebrows are sitting, my blush is blushing, like everything is doing what it needs to do. And I do that because it fuels me. So I think a part of being photogenic is that sense of confidence and just being able to embrace your beauty, right? There are so many things for me personally that I was so insecure about growing up, right? So whether that be my skin color, the size of my nose, I have really small ears and people would always make fun of them for me. And so stuff like that. And I try to embrace it. So I think that's part one of taking pictures of yourself is that confidence. Yes. The next thing is to figure out, what are your angles? Excuse me. Just like when you're shooting with somebody else, you want to pick photos and then at a specific angle that's most flattering for that person, right? So I do the same thing for myself. I try to, if I know that and we all have our own insecurities, right? So if I know if I go like this, and I bring my chin all the way down and I don't like the way that looks, I can lift my chin up. I can turn my head to, kind of give myself a different look. So those are the kind of things that I just play around with. And I think that's really great with when you're taking pictures, nobody has to see, I'm showing you guys this one image. There were probably 50 other images that I took during the self-portrait session that you will not see.
Facts.
So I think that kind of goes into that. And so just kind of that confidence and then just play around your angles and you kind of will kind of get, and have some music, have fun with it. There's no this is essentially just for you. You want to do whatever makes you feel the most confident and the most beautiful.
Yes. I love that. Such good tips. And with that being said, too, Lisa Polizzo said, I love your honesty. You're making me feel more secure in my own methods for creating. I'm always wishing I knew more behind the technology.
Yeah.
Love it. So exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back into it.
All right. So we're going to go ahead. One of the things I like to do, sometimes depending on what is in my image, if I have like you can see here, these are just, I think they were just like, what are they called? Like, you know, they go to the craft store and you have like, they can be pearls, they can be little hearts, like just the little stickies.
Yes.
So I just got these from the craft store. Like, I think it's from Joann's, and I was like, I'm gonna place them on my face. Like,
I love it.
Just to add to it. So sometimes they might not be as sharp. So I might want to add, make sure that I sharpen them a bit. So what I will do is I'll Command J, or just again, make a copy of this layer. And you can see that it's now sharpened the entire image, which we do not want. Like, I don't want my face looking this sharp. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on Add Layer Mask and then invert that layer. Now, I do it by pressing Command I, but I think you can come up here somewhere to invert a layer. I don't know for sure, so I do apologize. I kind of get caught up in how I do things.
Yeah, and the shortcuts that make it easy for you, yeah.
But you can go ahead and invert that. So then that way you don't see the layers there, but it's kind of masked. So what I can now do is I can go and I use the eraser tool, and I can go ahead and erase the parts of the image that I want that bottom layer to show through. So the parts of the image that I want to be a bit more sharper. So I'm gonna go ahead and reduce the size. So if I wanted my teeth to be sharp, actually make sure this is on black as well. If I wanted my teeth to be sharp, I could do that. I don't want my teeth to be sharp. I don't want my gums. I don't want my gums gumming like that. Like, so I'm gonna undo that. Just Command Z to undo that. But sometimes if I have like an earring, I'll go in here. If I have like,
certain things that you want.
Certain things, like I really love the texture of the fabric, so I want to kind of make that a little bit more sharper. I have this braid. Sometimes I'm actually going to leave that alone, but I'm going to come into the little beads that I have on my face. I'm going to make this small. I'm actually going to, I should have grabbed, I wanted to zoom in a little bit more, which I can do down here, but I wanted to, usually I have like a little trackpad that I usually use.
Nice.
And I'm just going to make these a wee bit sharper.
Very nice.
Let's see what it looks like if I go over my eyeshadow. Oh, girl, no. No, I think we're, see? Let me see what that looks like, and let me scroll back out. I'm okay. I'm gonna undo that. Okay, perfect. So you'll just see, you can't really tell the huge difference, but those aspects of my photo are a bit sharper there. Then I'm gonna come down to my skin copy, and this is when I'm gonna start to do that frequency separation to start to edit my skin now. I am proud of my skin. I've worked hard on, you guys can see like this, I have decent skin, but sometimes this is more so me, again, working on the technique of just kind of cleaning up and editing skin. So I came over here to my brush tools, and you'll see like where the regular paintbrush is. If you hold it down, you'll see that there's different tools that are sitting here. So when I'm using the frequency separation action, I'll go to Mixer Brush Tool. And then I'm actually gonna zoom in a little bit more again. So you can, this is up close and personal, y'all. Like, we are really up in my face right now. Ooh, okay.
the vulnerability here.
Let's
take a moment.
You know what? But again, like I told you guys, you can't talk to me anyhow. So like, we're all up in my face, but my face is beautiful. So you can't talk to me anyhow.
You already said that to yourself this morning.
I already said that to myself this morning. So perfect. So I'm gonna go again. I want to make sure that my brush is a size that's good. You want to make sure that this is a clean brush, because you are gonna be like mixing colors of. I think it's more so like mixing the colors that are in your skin. So you want to make sure it's a clean brush when you're doing that. You don't want this to be any kind of color or anything. This is set to custom. And then these are the settings that I have. Just my go-to, the wet is 21, load is 20, mix is 20, flow is 20. And then this little thing is 10. Now, let me tell you, don't ask me what that all means. It's, I think the one thing, if you want to go into like the technical aspect of frequency separation, there are endless amount of YouTube videos that will teach you that.
Yes.
I am Team YouTube University. That's how I kind of learned, started to learn, and then I kind of do what works for me. But I always keep these settings the same. So if you want to write these numbers down, and you're doing frequency separation, this is what I use for every photo, no matter of what the situation is, who I'm shooting, skin color, skin type, etc.
Okay, cool.
So now when I'm going to go ahead and start doing my skin editing, I am using a mouse. I usually try to use those Wacom tablets.
So yeah.
I don't have the pen for it. I lost it. So we're going to be using my mouse.
Like, mouse it is.
Mouse it is today. Perfect. So the one thing that I try to do, and there's not much skin editing I even want to do because I think my skin is pretty fine. But if there was like a blemish or a pimple or something that I wanted to take out, these are the techniques I can use to take them out, right? So when doing on the skin copying using the mixed brush tool, I can start to make little small circular motions to kind of like mix certain colors of my skin together. So I don't know how much you can tell on the screen, but this area is a little bit lighter than up here, and there might be like a harsh line. So I might want to blend that a little bit more, so it's just a more seamless kind of look.
Transition, yeah.
Especially like when I'm doing my makeup, I have, if you're looking at my face, I have my highlight, my contour, those same kind of ideas. When I'm blending my face out, I'm utilizing that same idea when I'm doing this. I want everything to look seamless, blended. And sometimes I do my contour and the contour is a little too strong and you need to blend it out. So you want to make sure that you're just kind of going in here, and it's just small circular motions. And you can see like very slightly, it's making a difference. Now you don't have to do too much. You can see here on right here, a little bit of my highlight wasn't blended out. So I tend to come in here and just kind of make small little motions again.
Nice.
And I do that coming down the bridge of my nose too. Sometimes I get a little happy with my highlighter and just kind of clean that up a wee bit. So you can see that difference there. So that's before, and then that's after. So I'll do that. And then if for whatever reason, let's say I had like a pimple on my face or something that something I wanted to necessarily take out, you can click on this texture layer and then go to your patch tool, which again, if you just click on here, you'll see the patch tools listed here. Sorry, I have this cough that's like really irritating me. And then you can kind of come in and like, if there was a pimple here, I could drag and it'll copy this area of my skin to over here.
Nice.
So same thing, I have this little dot right here. If I want to get rid of that, I'll just drag and now it's gone. Let's see, like on my lip right here, I don't know what's going on, but we're just gonna drag it.
You're like, I don't know what's going on here.
I'm gonna come out and just kind of smooth it out a little bit as well. So I'm gonna make my brush smaller.
Amazing. Sandeep says, very, very nice work.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Cody, for plugging in Idara's Instagram. Go follow her. Go give her some love. Ingrid says, I use Dodge to make shiny spots shinier, like teeth, earrings, eyes. Yep.
Yes. And that part. Y'all are a step ahead. We're going to get into that in a moment too.
Robert just said, Behance and YouTube. Why go to a photo school? You can learn a lot out there, guys, especially with things like Adobe Live, right? Like this is such an amazing platform that you can literally learn from other creatives, which sometimes that's like the best, because then you get to learn from like different people's processes and take and incorporate that into your process, which is awesome. So
it's so funny because like I didn't go to school for photography. I don't know about you, girl, but I went to school I did physiology. And the whole idea was I'm gonna be a doctor, and I wasn't gonna be a doctor by choice. I was gonna be a doctor by like my family's choice, like
parents. Yep. Yep.
And I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I remember it was my senior year of college, and I was like, okay, I'm cool. You know, this degree was a little bit of a struggle, but we made it. We got above a 3.0 GPA. I'm ready to take that MCAT.
Oh
Y'all,
my God.
I took that MCAT. I was humbled.
Oh.
I was quickly humbled.
Oh no.
And that was the moment that I realized, you know what, we got to reevaluate and figure out what we want to do for ourselves. And it was funny because my senior year, that's when I started doing photography. And I had taught myself just I picked up my camera and I went on YouTube and I just shot with friends. And, you know, the images that I used to shoot, I look at them now in disgust.
Right.
But
you cringe a little.
But it's a part of the process. So
100%.
if you didn't go to school for photography, well, let me tell you, there is endless amount of resources for you to be able to learn.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So we did a little bit of just, again, frequency separation, not much. I tend to not do, because I still want my images. Yeah, I still want it to look like me.
Yeah.
You know, and I
still want a little texture there.
And the texture as well. You know, there's specific, like in my chin, you can see all of, like, I just like the texture that's realistic. It makes it look like,
like you're a real person.
Like that part. You don't want to overdo it to where your face is blurred. Like we've seen, you know, people go and use like the face tune and you just pull it up and now your whole face is blurry and you've lost the texture, you've lost the dimension. You still want to make sure that you just make subtle changes to certain aspects and you want to kind of clean up. But
and
you want it. And enhance. That's the word, enhance. Perfect. So we're good with the frequency separation. The next thing we're going to do, someone had just mentioned it, is dodging and burning. So I have an action for that too. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And I'm going to bring this up so it's on top of it. And basically dodging and burning is just being able to focus on like what parts of your image do you want to make brighter and what parts do you want to make darker. That's like just the simple aspect of the way I like to explain it.
Stripped down.
Stripped all the way down. For example, when I'm editing, you know, especially when I'm doing skin retouching, I like to use, and this is the way I do it. I'm sure there is a more correct way, but this is the way that works for me and my work. I try to use it in a way that kind of enhances certain features and then maybe kind of pulls back certain areas. So like similar to when I'm doing my makeup, I don't know how much y'all do your makeup, but I use like, you have your foundation just, you know, which is the color of your skin. Then you usually have like a contour and a highlighter, right? So your highlighter, when I'm doing my makeup, is the areas of is probably a color that's like maybe 1 shade or 2 shades lighter than my actual skin color. Then my contour is a shade or 2 darker. And it's utilized to kind of figure out what parts of my face I want to bring out and what parts of my face do I want to draw back to kind of add a little bit more dimension. Now you don't want to do too much to where you're like, I don't try to do it too much to where like my cheekbones and my face and my whole structure has changed. But again, it's just to enhance your image and make things a little bit more like stronger in that sense. So I take that same concept and apply it to my image. So I have my 2 different layers for dodging and burning. Dodging is, again, that highlighting. Burning is more so like darkening and contouring is what I like to think of it. The cool thing with dodging too, you can use it for areas that you want to make brighter too. So if I wanted to whiten my teeth, I usually whiten my teeth in Lightroom. I really like the teeth whitening tool. But you can do the same thing. It's essentially just highlighting, you know, your whites. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here to where I had my mixed brush tool. And I want to go back to the regular brush tool. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure my brush is on white. And I'm going to change the size of my brush as well. I'm going to make this a little bigger, like right there. Okay. So again, while I'm highlighting, I want to focus on the areas of my face, which essentially is my T-zone that I want to kind of bring out a little bit more. So, oh girl, not that much.
Oh my gosh. That was extra.
That was a little bit much. So what you notice, I want like this, that's a lot.
Yes.
I want my opacity to be a lot lower. So I'm going to bring this to like a 4%. My flow, everything, I'm going to keep this where the settings are currently at. And now when I go in, it's more of a very subtle. I can increase this to 6 if I want. But again, just subtle, nothing too crazy. I still don't want to, you know, brighten anything too much.
Oh, there we go.
You can see that, you know, we've now
Yes.
brightened that a little bit. Now, if I go to burn, I don't have to change anything else. I'll usually make my brush a little bit bigger because I'm going around the perimeter of my face, and just kind of, again, you can see very slightly, I am burning the areas that I want to make a little darker.
Nice. Add some contrast
Yeah,
there.
yeah, add a little contrast. Get crazy with them. Don't
Love
get too
it.
crazy, but you know, add a little bit of contrast there. So there's that. So you can kind of see like the perimeter of the center of my face is kind of brought out a little bit more. So we have now our frequency separation. We have our dodging and burning. Now we're going to get into the fun part of it all, the actual coloring.
The coloring,
Ooh.
which you do so well. Ooh. I'm so excited.
I love colors, because the one thing, you know, I don't remember who it was, but somebody described my work as being dreamlike and cinematic. And once that was told to me, I ran with it.
Ran with it.
I love to create what I characterize as dreamlike and cinematic portraits, where it's just like you look at it and the colors are like the tones, all of that is just so dreamy and beautiful. And it just kind of looks like the image is freaking dripping off of your screen, you know, jumping up at you. So this is how I usually go about it. So the great thing about Photoshop is, again, you can create so many different layers. So if you come down to down here at the bottom, you'll see it says create a new fill or adjustment layer. And you'll see there's all of these different options for what you can do. I usually start in selective color. Now, remember when we were talking in Lightroom and we were looking at all the sliders, you can edit your colors there, but I really love selective color because, again, it's the same concept. It's just kind of targeting one color and changing like a specific hue of it, or just kind of making it brighter, whatever you want to do. But you can also, if you only want to target a certain point or a certain aspect of your photo, you can add a layer mask to kind of erase the parts that are irrelevant, or kind of color in what you want to focus on. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So
okay, perfect.
I'm going to start off with, I'm actually going to start with my yellows. I usually go back and forth between yellows and red, especially when it comes to skin. Now, when you look at your skin in general, there's usually 3 different types of colors you'll probably find in your skin. You'll find yellows, oranges, reds, and things of that nature. I know there's undertones and all of that kind of everything else, but you want to more so, again, when editing, especially when it comes to your skin, enhance. You don't want to make drastic changes. You also want to make sure that you're not looking, and this is something that I have to make sure I check myself with. I don't want to start looking too orange, too saturated. I want to make sure it's more so like really, really close to what I naturally look like.
Right. Yes.
So we'll start off with these yellows. I'm going to come down to yellow and pull that up a little bit. You can just see as I'm as I'm making these changes with the slider, you can see that it's adjusting my skin. So if I come all the way over here, I'm looking, if I come this way, I'm looking too red. So you want to make sure, again, like it's just subtle. We don't want to do too much, but you can also notice that some of it's going to impact the rest of the image as well. So like you can see the reds, we're adding, you know, you can see that I'm removing the cyans, adding. So you want to kind of be careful with that as well. Add a little bit. So
Kimberly says, I find teaching matching various skin tones a challenge. Have you found a good chart to help with this process?
It's so hard. It's so hard. I think that when it comes to editing various skin tones, I think the biggest thing is just more so, again, focusing on enhancing that person's skin. So the way that I edit, I just edit based off of what I'm looking at. So I use the same techniques. I'll still utilize, you know, especially when I'm doing skin editing, I'm still focusing on the reds, yellows, and oranges, because I know one of those 3 colors is going to be in that person's skin. And so I start there, and then I just kind of focus on making sure as I'm editing that I'm not making them too saturated, not making them too dull, but more so focusing on keeping their natural like tone and look throughout my image. Now, it's not something that I perfect. It's just something I just play around with for each image. It's
You've
really
had enough
difficult.
practice over time to kind of like eyeball it. Yeah, love it.
It gets really, it's difficult because there's so many different skin tones and colors, and oof, it's a lot. But so this, what I just did, I didn't show you guys this, so I'll make sure. I'm gonna just go ahead and I'll create another selective color layer.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go to my reds, and I tend to, what I like to personally do, I like to separate these colors out, just because I don't want to edit multiple colors in one layer, in case it makes a drastic-ish like change. I just want to target. So I know that this was my yellows. This is, and you can label them as well. These are my reds. So there's reds in my skin, but there's also reds in the whole image is red.
Right. Well, when you separate them, then it's easier for you to then remove from the parts of the image that you don't want affected.
Exactly. So if I wanted to focus on just the color of the red in the background, right, in the fabric, I usually just play around with these sliders so I can see what it's doing to my image. So like make that red. I want this red to really like pop. Yeah. So I can kind of, if I want it to be a little bit, like this, I could do that. And you can see it's changing my skin. So I'm actually going to show you guys what you could do to combat that. So if you were feeling like, ooh, I don't want the red, I want more of a burnt orange color.
Ooh, yes.
So you can see, all right, perfect. We just changed that color to orange, right? So it was red, now it's orange, but now my skin is looking like orange too. We don't like that, right? I'm gonna go ahead and add a mask and invert it. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. Perfect, let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Sometimes it's a game of like memory. Okay, cool, perfect. So now that I added that layer mask, I can come in and I can paint. I can do two things. So I can paint in the color of the backdrop and the fabric, and then try to be careful of my skin, or that's like the long way to do that. So I'm going to go back to this, or I can just use the eraser tool, I want to say, and put this on white. Yeah, there we go.
And then just fix,
So if there's something, if the majority of my image is one color and I just want to kind of like revert one small aspect of my image back to what it was, I'll just erase that so I'm not, spending too much time coloring in. So I could come back in here, and this isn't what we're going to do to this image, but just so you guys can see, and you want to be careful because now I'm coloring that in. So sometimes I will, let's
get in real close.
Up and personal, and just kind of paint back in.
Very nice.
My skin. And be careful. It gets real difficult. This is where having my
your little tablet
comes in handy.
Yes.
But you can just
that's awesome. Then you have options.
You have options. Like you can do so much. The options are endless when it comes to editing. You can really play around with colors so much.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I'm gonna just quickly do this. It's not gonna be a clean edit, so you'll see I'm getting some red on some aspects of the fabric, but it's all right. It's okay.
It's just so that you can see what it looks like. Love it.
So now I'm gonna go ahead and zoom back out.
Okay,
and you can see
that's another option.
That's another option here, girl. I'm telling you. Come on.
Love it.
So if I wanted to do that, then I could, that's how I can maintain my skin tone throughout the editing, but also change everything else. I actually really love the color of this fabric.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I want to play around with it more.
Ooh.
Okay. We're doing a little something. I'm going to keep that as an option. I'm going to hide the visibility of that layer.
Yes. Okay.
But we're just going to keep that sitting there in case, I'm feeling in my spirit. I want to go back to it. So again, selective color, and I'm just going to focus on the reds again. So if I wanted to make this a little brighter, I could. And again, I just kind of play around with the sliders until I get the red that I want. So I wanted this really vibrant, deep red.
Yes.
You can see.
I love seeing it all come to life.
Girl, see,
So
it's so cool. It's so cool. So you can see right there, the reds are so much more vibrant. And I keep scrolling down, so I apologize, y'all. The reds are so much more vibrant, and you can see what that looks like. Now, I'm going to keep going on the selective color because, again, there's so much you can do in here that I want to show y'all. So if you had white in your photo, I have whites in my teeth, but there's also the white in my eyes too. You can play around with this, with the sliders again, and it's just targeting the colors that you're currently focusing on. Now, you want to be careful as well because you don't, like, as you're adding and removing your cyans, your magentas, your yellows, you can tell the whites are impacting my teeth. Like, I don't want my teeth having a yellow tone to them.
Right.
My teeth. But sometimes you can get more of a brighter like look. So you can just kind of play around and see what that looks like. So that's before, after, really subtle, but it's a little something there. And then this is my favorite. Oof. This one right here. If you hit, like, I feel like, I don't know if people don't know about blacks in your images.
Selective color blacks.
Selective color blacks.
Take some notes.
If you want to, one of the things, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I'm labeling these as well as I go.
Yes, we love an organized queen.
Oh, because if not, I'm just going to be playing the guessing game the whole time. I really love going to the blacks because you can add color to the blacks in your photos, and it really helps to tone your image, right? So again, if I wanted to add some cyan or remove some of the cyan, you can see that it's changing the tone. I can add, you can really just play around with what this looks like, and it can get you some really cool outcomes.
That is cool.
So we're gonna bring these back to 0 and see. I really actually liked how I was adding a little bit of this and how I was adding more of like that fade. Let's see.
How fun.
Right. So you can see that's the before and then after. If I felt like it was too much, I could either, again, erase the parts that I don't want to have affected. Like if I just wanted it to be like, not my skin, but just the background, I could just erase that. Ooh.
I guess you could technically also bring down the opacity too.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to show you guys. You could also bring down the opacity. So
amazing.
Toggle, bam. Okay, so then you can come back here and then and this is what I usually do. I just bring down the opacity.
Amazing.
So that way you can still see that layer, but it's not like a massive difference. So,
oh wow, that already looks so good.
Right? Like, it's just so crazy.
Amazing.
Other thing I love to do, channel mixer. Now, a friend showed me this. My friend Obi, he's another photographer. He showed me channel mixer. Now, again, one thing, when it comes to color grading, I don't have a science behind it. I just mess with these layers until I get my desired look. So I come to channel mixer. I come down to blue. Can't tell you why. Every time I mess with red and green, when I mess with red and green, it doesn't look good. But when I mess with blue, the tones are so nice. I'll usually bring down the blue to about 50%. And this is a trick he taught me. And then I can bring up the green. So you can just see just slightly, like it's just changing the tone of the image. And then I usually do this if I want to change the color of like my backdrop or whatever my background is. You can see again, it's impacting my face. So I'll go in and I can edit and kind of erase and clean that up. But it's just another way to get like a different tone of your image. And so there's that. You can do channel mixer. You can also come here and go to hue and saturation. Oh, girl, this one's a little dangerous. You can get a little messy with this one, but you can also, again, you can change the hue and saturation of your colors. So this whole photo is red. So if I wanted to change the hue of the red to a purple, you know what? This is actually quite interesting. I haven't played with so many different colors. And then if I wanted to come in here and just clean this up.
Clean that up. Okay.
Come on. And it's a different story. It's a different image. It's more like prideful. It's more bright and vibrant.
Yes. Girl.
Purple is doing something to me. Hold on. Pause.
That is so fun.
So you can just
little fuchsia moment.
Yeah, a little fuchsia moment. And if I erase too much, let's say I can do this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit.
Kimberly.
Not that much.
Kimberly says, nice approach. It is a challenge, especially when the person's skin tones doesn't match theirs. Cody says at the end, I'd love to see the difference in the edit and the original edit of this photo.
Oh, I will definitely show you. I think I even have the original edit here as one of these tabs in Photoshop. Nice. So I can show you guys what that looks like.
Katie says, love to watch the work process. Cody Bear, ooh, love that. Chromatic black tones.
Yes.
Love it.
Oh, I love
Cody
it.
says, LOL, Idara, so funny. She is, y'all.
Oh man, I'm glad y'all enjoy it. I love to make sure, like, we gotta crack jokes while we here.
Yes. Yes.
Life don't gotta be that serious. So you can see that.
Okay, how fun.
I'm gonna come in here too to just bring, I want to be careful of this because I know, actually I'm just gonna leave it where it was. So like you can already see how different that looks. Like, what? And then if I wanted to keep playing around with it, I could just, you know what? I really love this color.
So cool.
Ooh, we might have a new edit. I think we have a new edit here.
But see, that's the beauty of having everything on layers, is that you can just like, you can toggle back between like all the different options and see which ones.
See what you like and what you don't like. So y'all let me know. Were you feeling the red or you
tell us
in
the
like
chat,
fuchsia?
Red or fuchsia? Let us know.
I'll go with what y'all think is best.
Yes. You guys let us know in the chat.
Because not gonna lie, this fuchsia is
pretty fire.
It's pretty fire. Like I'm not gonna lie.
How long does it take you to edit a photo, Dara?
It can range. So it will probably, I don't even know how much time we've been spending on this image so far. It can give me, I can go from anywhere from like at least 20 to 30 minutes. To, I think the longest I probably have spent is maybe like an hour on an image. And it's more so again, when I'm coloring and if there's more factors to consider, right? So this one is like, it's just the red and it's just changing the hues and saturations in the reds. But if I was doing more, again, looking at color theory and colors that worked well together, and I was like, oh, I really want to group together blue, yellow, and red, right? And I want to target those different colors, then I'll probably spend a little bit more time. But I would say on average, it probably will take me at least, maybe on average, like 45 minutes for an image. But at the bare minimum, 20 minutes. I used to spend longer, especially when doing like skin editing and stuff like that, the dodging and burning. But the more you do it, the quicker it becomes.
Yeah, it just becomes.
So we have like this fuchsia color that's going on.
Okay, let's see what people are saying. Okay, Yuma says the fuchsia is doing something for me.
Girl, listen, it's doing something.
Debbie says love the red. Katie says fuchsia. Katie also says both are nice.
What is it? Let's go with the fuchsia.
Let's go with the
that
fuchsia.
way we can compare the fuchsia to the red image that I had before.
Good idea.
I think that'll be really cool.
Good idea.
So let's see. So I just kind of, again, you can play with the saturation a little bit and before and after. And if I wanted to, I could also change the opacity.
Ooh.
So if I didn't want it to be so fuchsia,
super fuchsia, you can kind of bring it down a notch.
And I also mess with the fill too. So if I just wanted to bring it down a notch, I could do that. So yeah, a little something there. So we're going to go ahead and leave that as that is. I'm going to group these together. So if I just kind of select, if I hold shift down, you can select multiple layers. And then there's a folder button here. I tend to do this for, again, organization reasons. And then it's just cool to see what your image looked like. So
yes,
this is with our frequency separation, which was just sharpening and kind of cleaning up our skin a little bit, dodging and burning, and then the color grade that we've now added on top of our image.
Amazing.
I'm going to come in here. I kind of want to go. Another thing that I do is go into color lookup, and if you have like different, I think they're called LUTs.
Yeah. Oh,
You
right.
can
Yes.
you can add them to your image too. So that's another cool way to kind of play with
Whoa.
color. So that was a LUT that I had on my computer. I think that one is actually one of the ones that should be added here for you, but I don't know why it's not for me. I don't remember how I can add it into this list, but you have all these different LUTs that are already provided for you that will all give you like a different look. Oh, I actually like that.
That is kind of nice, actually.
And you can just kind of mess with
Okay, love it.
What that looks like.
Drishti says, so difficult to choose, but the fuchsia is speaking to me a tad bit more.
I think so. I love it.
Yep. Cody says, I'd love to see more of the fuchsia because it's different from the original.
Yes.
Janine says, both are cute. And Sean says, these are good tips. Edit the photo to its base starting point and then add the effects you want to add.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, everyone's saying the fuchsia, so I think you made the right choice.
We're going to keep the fuchsia. I actually like, and that's the great thing again with editing is like something can accidentally happen. Because when I was originally editing this photo was last summer. So at least over a year ago. I was not thinking about,
Ooh, yeah, that looks good.
Fuchsia and everything. Oh yeah, that's it for me. So
yeah.
So there you have it. I actually think I have, if I check here, let me see. One of these tabs is, and these are other self-portraits. Okay, perfect.
Whoa.
So let's look at what this looks like.
Oh, and again, my goodness.
This was the original image. You can see that like I did a little bit more dodging and burning. This was my color edit at the time, which wasn't much. I even used curves, so we can play around with that too. So selective color, which this was the yellows. I added some curves, color lookup. So what I just showed you, I think this was the smoky LUT that I just used. And then again, playing around with the yellows again. So that's this image. And then that's, so you can see
what a difference.
What a difference the two of them are already making. So if I wanted to come, let's see. If I wanted to come and add a little bit of curves. And this is great if you want to kind of keep playing. I don't mess with curves too much because I don't have like I feel like, so, oh, see, like you can do that.
You can get crazy with it.
You can get crazy with your curves. And then again, with any of these layers, you can always just reduce the opacity if you feel like it's just too much.
Nice.
But I think I'm happy with the way this image is looking. So that's our before and that's our after. The one thing I do want to do that's kind of bothering me. You can see, I don't know if you guys can tell right here.
Yes.
You can see my finger. And it's bothering me. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to merge these two because when we're doing the skin editing, there's two layers of the original image. If I try to, I don't even know if I could, I wonder if I can clone on this layer. I probably can. So I use the clone stamp tool and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can look at the, my index finger here. I'm going to bring this down and then if I click on click option, basically when you're cloning, oh, there we go. When you're cloning, you're just copying, one aspect of your image and painting it in somewhere else. So I can click there and then just kind of color out and paint out. So I'm going to clone here. Let's see. All right, let me zoom back out.
Nice.
So now the thumb is gone.
There you go. Much better.
The thumb is all the way gone.
Just tiny little distraction.
Just a little small one, not massive, but I'm going to come back here to my yellows. I feel like I want to make sure my face is not too...
Your skin tone.
Yeah. I was looking really...
It has that little extra...
Yeah, that's a little better. That was a little too yellow for me.
Yes.
And this is another thing. Like sometimes while I'm editing, especially because if you sit down for too long, it can be like so much on your eyes. And like I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna walk away. Step away and come back to it because my eyes are shot right now. They are. Especially if you're editing like a whole set of images.
Yeah.
It can be so much so much. So I'm just going back into the dodging and burning. Ooh, Idara, stop scrolling so much, girl. What's going on?
Nice. Oh, so
Have
cute.
girl, have you ever shot any self-portraits before?
So when I first started photography, that's all I shot. I did self-portraits.
Really?
Yeah. And it was really fun. And then, when you're in high school and people start saying stuff, being like, you're taking self-portraits. So, so then I was like, all right, I'm never taking self-portraits again. And then I started shooting other people. And then, yeah. So, but I want to get back into it. I feel like seeing your work inspires me to do it, especially just, I don't know. I think it is a form of self-love.
Yeah.
Or just like a way of just, kind of understanding more of your identity and
absolutely. And I think
and appreciating yourself.
Exactly. And I think one of the things I loved about Self-Portrait Sunday for me was that like my identity is whatever I want it to be. Like I'm whoever I want to 100%. Be. And I can capture different, forms of myself through my photography. And I used to say when I first started, I was like, I'm taking these self-portraits so that my future kids can see how fly their mom was. Like, I want my kids to look back and be like, dang, mom, like all of these, like you had this look, I could rock any color. Like any color. Always messing around with hair texture as well. Like, one of the big things that I struggled with growing up was my hair. So being Black and having natural hair, my hair is a lot coarser. Mm-hmm. It's thick, it's kinky, and like the texture is really tight. The curl pattern is really tight, excuse me. Yeah. And so growing up, I used to always hate my hair. I went to a school where like it was predominantly white. Nobody looked like me. And so everyone's hair is, straight, silky, which is cute. Don't get me wrong. That's a cute look, but mine is cute. Mine is cute too, right? So I remember always feeling insecure about my hair and feeling like, okay, I don't like the texture. That's where, I don't know how familiar y'all are with like perms and stuff like that. I used to be like, oh, I want to perm my hair just so that way it's straight because I don't like what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I tried to focus on with Self-Portrait Sunday was playing around with different hairstyles, that embrace my natural texture.
Embracing it. Mm-hmm.
So you have like, this was a braid that I did. This was, you can't really see my hair there, but like with this one, knowing that like, how can I still utilize, like one thing about natural hair, my kind of hair, like if I took it out of a ponytail right now, right, it'll just kind of stay in one area. Like it's just kind of, it doesn't have much. And so I wanted to play off of that for this image. I wanted to kind of, I feel like my hair defies gravity. So I wanted to kind of,
it has a shape and a form.
Yeah, it has a shape and a form to it. So that's how you can really mess around with that. So I really love the self-portrait. I think we can kind of leave this.
I think so too. It looks beautiful.
So I'm going to go ahead and click the little X out button. It's going to save it. And the cool thing that it'll do is it'll bring it back into Lightroom. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long my computer is going to take to do that.
Oh, David says this is such a great self-portrait.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Sean said when I started out, I bought a mannequin to learn how to set up lighting. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So there we go.
You gotta try different things.
So I'm gonna actually This is our before image, y'all. That's after.
Wow, I love it.
Like, huh?
I know, seriously.
Is that the same image? Like
that is incredible. That just shows like just how much the power of editing and the power of creativity.
Oh yeah, you can do so much there. So how much time do we have left? Do we have time for another one?
Yes, we definitely have time for another one.
Beautiful. Awesome. So I have two other self-portraits here. We've got this one. I'm gonna let y'all choose because I'm indecisive.
Okay, chat, let us know. So which are the options?
So we've got this one. I think I called this one Crown. The floral one. Yep. We got the Cloud. So dreamy. We've got this one that was kind of like a vintage, kind of old look. And then this is just a regular selfie. How I look that day.
Love it. Okay, let us know in the chat which one. So say flower if you want the flower one. Say cloud if you want the cloudy one. Say vintage if you want the vintage one, and then selfie for the last one.
Yes.
Let us know in the chat I will give you a few. But amazing, so exciting. I love seeing your process, and I think, I think people are enjoying it too. So
I'm glad. And it's great to see like this how, and I think the coolest thing about this series was that there were certain things that I didn't do in my regular shoots that I can now do. Like I wasn't planning as much as I planned with these self-portraits beforehand. I wasn't taking into consideration how I can play around with colors with my clients, and whether that's like, incorporating different colors or just editing the colors differently. I wasn't doing any of that. So you've
explored so many things even through this, the series of yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no limit to what you can do. Editing it's subjective. It's whatever you want it to be. I think that's the one thing I love about photography, is that like photography is in itself, like, with capturing images, you can capture whatever you find to be beautiful. But when you get into editing and coloring, you can have fun, like do whatever it is that you want to do. So I really love that about, playing around with my colors.
Okay, so we've got some people commenting. Let's see. Cody says vintage. Hashem says clouds. Okay, 2 for clouds. Oh, vintage or clouds. Vintage. Ooh. Okay. Right now it's between vintage and clouds.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Oof. Oh, okay.
I feel like...
What are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. Let's do the clouds, because it's like a little bit further away. We already did one where your face is close up.
You're right.
I'm curious to see what you would do with the clouds.
All right, let's do the clouds then. All right, perfect. So what we're gonna do first is, you guys can see here, I shot this in my garage. You could see my garage is peeping through. So I want to go ahead and just crop this image. So you click on the little crop tool over here, crop and straighten. So I'm gonna bring this down, and I'm gonna straighten it up a bit.
Nice.
Up, center it. So there we go. Now you just have your basic image that you can work on.
Amazing.
So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up a little bit, add a little bit of warmth.
Okay, how did you is that all cotton?
Oh, it's what is it called? Polyfill. Isn't that what it's called?
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I went to, again, Joann's. I'm sure the workers in my local Joann have seen my face.
They know you.
They know me.
Like, they know you already.
Yeah. They know me. They're probably
You're like a regular.
Every time I'm leaving, they're like, oh, what do you do with this fabric today? And I'm like, what do you do with all this?
And they're going to be like, are you going to return it this time too?
The thing is, when we were in,
or maybe you're sneaky and you go to a different Joann.
You go to a different one. Or here's the thing. We're all wearing masks right now. So you can't even tell it's me.
Exactly. That's fine. That's fine.
You can't even tell it's me.
Do it for the art.
Exactly. You got to do what you can for the art. And to save your coin. I'm team save coin. So
yes, 100%.
Beautiful. So I just cropped that, and then I brought up the exposure a little bit, added a little bit of warmth in the temperature. And again, just what you guys saw me do earlier. I'm going to bring up the shadows a little bit, so more of myself pops through. I want it to whiten the image.
Debbie says, you're making me want to set up a studio space in my apartment and do some self-portraits.
Do it. I'm going to be moving into a house towards the end of the year. And one of the rooms I really want to be like my own mini studio.
Your studio space.
Because I love doing it in my room. The issue is space.
Yeah.
But I 1000% encourage y'all to have a space that you can just.
But look how amazing you're creating stuff, even with the limited space that you have, So it's just, about doing it.
Cleaning this up.
Oh, oof.
Because all I did, I set up the backdrop. Again, I got the backdrop off of Amazon because I knew I wanted a cloud look. And I wanted it to kind of I was like an angel floating in the clouds.
Yes, I love it.
So I got all the polyfill and I just threw it on the ground. And I'm wearing a tube top, so I am clothed. And I literally sat there and I just kind of indulged myself all with that polyfill to kind of get that look.
So cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and increase the whites a little bit.
Okay.
Let's mess with the blacks. Add that clarity. and just get my photo to where I feel like I want to start.
David says, can you briefly describe your process when taking the photos?
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. So when it comes to my process, the first thing is, again, I try to, especially going to self-portrait Sunday, I would either have an idea before that Sunday, whether it's like I saw something on Pinterest or something that inspired me, or I'll think of a color as my base or an idea. So for this one, I just knew I wanted clouds and I wanted to look like an angel. Like that's all I knew I wanted.
Yeah.
So then I was trying to figure out, okay, what different what different items can I utilize and elements,
props,
exactly, props that I can bring together to really add to my photo. So that's where you have the cloud backdrop. I really liked, don't ask me, I really don't know why I really love using the stickies, and I just because you can just add,
they're easy.
They're easy, they add a different look, so you can tell, like in this portrait, like I have them around the perimeter of my face, but here I did the same thing, but these were pearls. And I just liked that the way that it was like a pearl headband.
It's so fun. It's like a little crown.
Yeah, a little crown that you have going on there.
Yeah.
And so it's more so, okay, figuring out what elements you want to incorporate into your image. Yeah. And then when it comes to the day of shooting, I just kind of set up, and it's just trial and error at that point. Yeah. I think the thing that I found myself struggling with was posing, because I already, like, I have a similar facial expression in all my photos. Like that one, I'm not a model, so I don't got like all the different emotions to give you guys, but I can figure out where I want to put my hands and play around with different parts of my body, right? So if I'm taking an image, excuse me, if I'm taking an image that's a little bit further out like this, I want to make sure what are my hands doing, you know?
Right.
I want to make sure I'm framing my face in some kind of way, or maybe I look away from the camera so it's not always me looking dead into it.
Right.
So I'll just play around. I'll just be like, click the button, click the button, click the button. Like I'm just,
I love it.
And then once that's done, as I'm shooting and I'm going through it, I make sure I like look and I'm like, okay, do I see any images that I like? So honestly, by the time I get one image that I'm set on, especially because when I was doing self-portrait Sunday, I'm setting up shooting and editing all in one day and trying to post that image on that same day.
Oh, wow.
So
it's a challenge. It's like a little challenge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're literally, okay, on the clock, you know, come up with the idea, shoot it, then edit it, and then get it out.
Exactly. And I did that because I wanted to challenge myself when it came to like how much time I would spend creating. I didn't want to, sometimes I'll take, like if I'm doing a shoot, I usually with my clients ask for like a week to week and a half to edit the images, but that's because sometimes I'll edit once and then like I'll come back later in the week. It doesn't take me 7 days to edit photos, but I'm really indecisive. So I wanted to challenge myself to like, in that moment, edit a photo, stick with that edit, and bam, like once it's posted, it's posted. Now I can always go back and re-edit and change things up, but at least I am trying to see, okay, how long does it really take me to come to a decision while I'm editing?
So absolutely.
That's kind of how like my process goes. Once I get that one image, I stop.
And you're good to go. You're like, all right, done. Let's go.
straight to the computer. And then this is where we kind of get to this point. So
yes. Debbie's asking, you might have mentioned this, but what's your timer and flash lighting situation?
So my timer, so for lighting, I just use natural light. So I shot this in my garage. My garage was open and I set up, and this is so weird because neighbors are driving by, people are walking.
Oh my gosh.
And here I am just like,
you're like, hi, I'm angelic. You've been blessed to see an angel today. You've been blessed today.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
But the lighting situation is just natural light. I find that to just be the easiest.
Yeah.
And I also like, it's just the easiest for me to work with natural light. And so that way I can make sure that lighting is all even and I don't have, and because I'm shooting like in a room that light is coming in, or like in a garage and I'm not shooting outside, I can kind of like diffuse my light a little bit. So I'm not directly outside in the sun. I always try to shoot in my room because a certain amount of light will come in and like If I wanted less of it, I could cover up the window a little bit or do whatever I want to do to kind of get the lighting that I want.
And you're just doing self-timer, right?
Just self-timer. So when
Wow.
I just have like a remote. So literally the remote, I think I dropped it like behind me. Like I pressed the button and I just kind of hide it.
Yeah.
And then getting ready for my photos. So
amazing.
Depending on the camera you're using, you can set your timer for, and I use a little remote that I got off Amazon. You can set it for 2 seconds, 10 seconds, and then just press it, pose, and it'll take your photo.
The remote makes it so much easier.
Oh, so much easier, because if not, I would be like pressing the shutter button, running down and counting.
Like you're gonna ruin your whole setup with all these clouds.
We couldn't do that. It wasn't. There was no room for any of that. So awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and send this photo into Photoshop. So let's see.
Oh, Paco says, I love how practical Idara is, though, making it all work from home and dealing with what she's got. The photos are great without all the fancy bells and whistles.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, if you have all the fancy stuff, great.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? We don't got it today.
Yeah.
And we don't got it usually every day, And so I think it was a great challenge for me to be more appreciative of what I do have and not thinking that I have to have all of this fancy equipment to create.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So we are in here. Clouds. We're going to start off editing. So same thing I did before. When I'm also editing images like this that are a little bit further away, I don't tend to do frequency separation just because it's like,
it's not that needed.
It's not that deep.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do any frequency separation. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my dodging and my burning. So here we go. Again, you have your brush tool. Make sure it's on the white, that your color here is on white. And resize your brush if you want. You can zoom in, which I'm gonna do. And let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and start to. Oh, I'm totally lying. I think this needs to be on black. Yeah, it needs to be on black, right? Yes. I'm gonna bring this up to 6. All right, perfect. And we're just gonna come in here again, like I've said before. It's more so that T-zone area that I focus on. And then if I have like more of my body showing, I just add more highlight to the portions of my image. Hold on.
Oh, maybe it is white.
Maybe it is white. It is white. Ooh, I'm sitting, my eyes were playing tricks on me. I thought I was actually doing something and like I wasn't doing a dang thing.
The mind will show you what you want to see.
The mind really will show you. So I'll just go over the areas of my image so you have the highlights.
Lips are popping.
You want the lips to be nice and juicy.
That little glow. So good.
I got big lips, so that I gotta highlight that in the images, right?
Accentuate, yes.
Accentuate everything. So where I have like this highlight, so where the lighting, where it's like a little bit lighter, that's where I kind of come in and add a little bit of that dodge.
That looks so pretty.
Then I go in and dodge the areas that are, again, darker. So again, you're just enhancing what's already there. This is how the light fell on my body, and I'm just kind of enhancing that, And it's...
Debbie says, sweet. That's what I do for any self-portraits. I also drop the remote. LOL.
Drop and hide that remote, because
hide it.
If I catch it, then I'll take it out in Photoshop. But I always am like, okay, where can I just hide this so nobody sees it in the picture? So there's a slight little dodge and burn there, just to kind of highlight. If I want these clouds to be brighter, which I can do that. So I'm just going to kind of color that in. Actually, I want to be careful of that because there is some dimension to the clouds. So I don't want to lose that by just highlighting everything. So I want to make sure that like these areas that are a little bit darker. Let's see. Maybe didn't even do anything, but this is why we play around.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I also want to do, so I'm good with the dodging burden. I'm going to come back to my my layer here with this fabric. Depending on the shoot, if there's wrinkles in my fabric, I'll leave it. So like for this one, ain't nobody got time to clean this up. Like, we don't got the time. And I liked the way it looked. So I kept that. I feel like wrinkles, texture, all good. For this one, I wanted to clean this up a bit. So again, I'm just going to use
some of like the creases or
some of the creases that you see this.
Things.
So I'm going to go ahead and use the clone stamping tool. And
what's interesting about this image too is that like even though there's like the wrinkles on the top left corner from like it being pulled, it kind of looks like a sun, like almost like a glare.
Right here?
Like yeah, like it's like very
You know what? We're gonna keep that and see what we can,
work it. Yeah.
Work with that.
Like
maybe
I bet you could even like add like some kind of like glowing orb coming down, like
I'm sure this
blessed.
Yep. Like I am blessing you today. Hello. Look down the clouds and you see Idara coming. Like, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep cleaning this up a wee bit.
Nice. Yes.
So
that already looks so good.
Yes. So we're gonna keep that. I want to bring some clouds over here. Make this. So you see, just clone it over. Bam.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. So we are good there. Yep. So there we go. So we can see what that already did to our image.
Mm-hmm.
Now, y'all, to my favorite part, selective color. Let's start off with the yellows and just kind of mess with our sliders a bit.
Oh, Sean says, not sure what Idara is shooting with. You shot these with the 60? Canon 60?
Canon 60. All of my self-portraits are shot with the Canon 60. I think for this one, because the shot is a bit wider, I used the 35 millimeter. It was a Sigma lens that I used to shoot this one. All of my close-up portraits that you see that are like my face or in your, like my face is in your face. I use a 50.
Nice.
There we go. So we're gonna keep.
Ooh, people are in the chat are talking about how you can use your phone as a remote too.
Oh yes, you can do that. You can use your phone as well.
Fairy says, yeah, and to be honest, using my phone as a remote is much easier, at least for me, because I can adjust the ISO, the white balance, shutter speed, aperture, and even I can see the preview.
So that's another great way.
Yeah,
that's another really great way.
Yeah, and there's so many ways.
If you're shooting, the other thing I also like to do that I was challenged with last year was like shooting with my iPhone. Because I think that like, as far as like taking the self-portrait with my iPhone, because I think, again, getting caught up in equipment, you don't have to. I think one of the self-portraits, I think on my page, I'll quickly pull it up.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
It was this one. This was a self-portrait that I took on, I think it was like on my iPhone mini.
Okay.
So I took this self-portrait and I did a little self timer that's on that you can put on your phone and just play around with it that way.
Amazing.
But I do need to use my phone as a remote. I think that'll be a really cool way.
Yeah, to test it out and see if it
especially
works.
So I can see myself.
Yeah, that would be nice.
All right. So we're gonna keep that as is. I'm gonna come down to these blues or
I'm so impressed that you don't like tether either.
I do, and
it's a guessing game for you.
And that's the thing. There's so many things I can do to make this easier.
But you're like, I like the surprise factor.
Yeah.
I just
because sometimes, and that's why like I'll literally be shooting and then I don't know what I look like until I go behind the camera and I'm like, okay, we need to fix this, or oh wow, I can't believe I got that. So
yeah. Do you ever like accidentally take a photo where it's like kind of out of focus, but it looks good, so you run with it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's just kind of like that surprise factor is really, really cool. So I really like that.
Yeah.
So we see these.
That's so cool.
Let's see. I want to kind of play around with these blues.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That's so nice because like now, like your background is now like separated from your skin tone, right? Like it's not like it has, reds or yellows or anything like that. So like you can really just play around with it and not have to worry.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go to the whites and see what we can do. See,
you have a lot of whites in this one now.
The whites are giving. Like, do you see how that tone just changed? Like, come on. You can add some yellow to the whites. Like you can just get
go to town.
crazy with it. Go to town.
Ooh.
Like if I wanted to look really pure and white, I could
just like remove all of it.
Yeah, just remove everything.
Oh,
like,
wow.
wait, do we even need anything? So you can see.
Oh, but that definitely added some oomph.
Yeah, that adds a little bit up in there. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go to selective color again, try our blacks. There's neutrals as well. I don't mess with my neutrals often, but if you wanted to, you could.
Okay.
Play with some different
Very
tones,
nice.
and then I could remove, but I'm gonna keep that off. Because me and neutrals, we don't have the best like relationship.
Your relationship is with the blacks.
My relationship's with the blacks.
Love
the blacks and the whites are like, those are my two favorite.
Because you can change so much about the image with those.
You really can.
Oh, so good. You guys, if you're just joining us now, I feel like I've been mesmerized this whole stream. So I haven't even been like, hey guys, like come on over to Behance, or if you're just joining us, we're here with Idara. And hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. It's Ekpoh?
Ekpoh.
Yes.
Ekpoh.
Okay. Ekpoh, and she is an amazing, talented artist creating, dreamlike and cinematic portraits. So go give her a follow on Instagram. It's it's Iddy as an IDY. And yeah, I think Cody plugged in her Instagram link again. So that's awesome.
Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, give her some love and go check out more of her work. Are you still doing the self-portrait Sundays like every week?
So I stopped, and this is the one thing about passion projects. You want to make sure that your passion projects are for what was your why behind it, right?
Yes.
I got to a place where self-portrait Sunday was giving me a little bit of anxiety.
Right. Well, when it's something that you have to do every week, it can be kind of, a lot. So you kind of sometimes need to take breaks from that too.
And and I think for that, like, I got to a point where I was feeling a little overwhelmed. I was like, okay, especially as I was posting more self-portraits, like the audience is growing. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to do this because everyone is waiting for the next self-portrait.
Yeah.
But then once I get into that mindset, I had to correct myself and be like, okay, wait, you're doing this for yourself. The purpose of this was for you, your identity, to work on your skills, everything else that comes with it, the audience enjoying it, y'all getting to, like, this is just a plus.
Right. It's a plus. 100%. I love that you said that, because I think that's something that's really important as an artist, is remembering your why.
Yep.
And again, like you said, everything else that comes with it, if you grow an audience, if you gain popularity or whatever, visibility through that work that you're putting out, that is a plus.
That's it.
And if at any point something is causing you anxiety, or like something that's like feeling like overwhelming, or like maybe you're feeling burnt out or something, it is 100% okay to step away and come back to it when you're, in a better headspace. Or change things,
Exactly. Give yourself that freedom, you know?
And that grace.
Because I got to a point where I was like, ooh, every Sunday.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but like, for example, like with our business, like we were like, oh, we got to post once every day on social media and like all this stuff. And now we're like, actually, we don't really need to do that. We can call the shots. Just like you said, like, I don't know if I can do this every Sunday, and that's okay.
And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
It's all right to just kind of give yourself that grace. I love that you said grace, because that's exactly what it is. So I still, even now, I still do self-portrait Sunday. It's just more so like, some days I'll get ready. I'm like, you know what? We're going to take a self-portrait. So I did a self-portrait on this past Sunday. Nice. And I hadn't done one in literally like, since I think like maybe March or April.
Oh my gosh. You know what? We got to embrace seasons, right? There's seasons of certain things. There's a season for self-portraits.
Yeah.
There's a season for time for yourself, and
Exactly, because if not, you just want to make sure you give yourself that grace, because I feel like, and that keeps it more exciting for me as well. Like, I don't want to ever feel like, dang, like I'm only creating this for whatever reason. I'm not creating it for myself.
Yeah. Ugh. So I love this is all coming together.
Yeah, we're just playing around.
You're like really building up. I see so many selective colors.
I stopped naming them.
You're like, I just stopped.
We just stopped, you know. We're just adding.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna take this out. Let's see. So I was just playing around with selective
Ooh.
color. This one I didn't really do much here with the blacks.
Amazing.
It's so interesting to see. It's so crazy that like as I'm editing, I'm just thinking of like, how did I edit this the first time?
Right.
It comes out so different. I added a little bit of channel mixer in there. I'm gonna actually bring this fill down just a bit. Yeah.
Yes, that looks so
and
good.
Then color lookup, I didn't do anything with this. This can go. I'm gonna go to hue and saturation.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Because I feel like your images kind of have like, you know, I don't know, like each one kind of stands as its own.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage like having a like what is the cohesiveness in your style for you? Like, or like how did you develop that, or how did, you know?
That's a good question, because
I feel like because you love color so much, and
I know,
like there's just every image is so different from the next.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer it because when I look at my work, that was like the one thing. Like if I'm shooting like a project, okay, that's probably the best way to say it. If I'm shooting a project where there's multiple images, I try to be cohesive because I want every image in that set to work together.
Yeah.
And you want everything to look, you know, together. And so I'll copy and paste or maybe make presets and stuff like that. But when it comes to like me editing self-portraits, I just go with whatever the image does for me. My routine relatively stays the same as far as selective color and, you know, channel mix, all these different layers that I'm making and what you guys have seen so far. But if it comes out and you guys look at my self-portraits and you see a cohesiveness, great. I don't even know if there is because I just kind of edit how I feel. I used to get really caught up on like, especially posting on Instagram, wanting everything to look like the same undertones or something cohesive. But then it was just, I felt like I was limiting myself.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I love color so much that I'm like, maybe today, like you saw with that self-portrait, I don't have anything on my page or any self-portraits that have a fuchsia color. And today it's fuchsia. Yeah. Yesterday was red. Today is fuchsia.
Today's fuchsia.
So I don't know how much that answers that question, because
I love that statement. Yesterday I was red. Today I was fuchsia.
Yeah. You know, just kind of give yourself that freedom to create whatever you're feeling. And that's, even as I'm editing now, I could not tell y'all why I'm doing anything or how I'm just letting it flow.
Yes.
And I find that to be the best way to edit, at least for me.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have up in here? Okay, I think I'm good with this. So let me go ahead and group this all together.
So we have about 9-10 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I want to see if we can add some kind of halo effect of some sort.
Ooh.
Don't know how much this will work if I either paint it in, or if you guys know of a better way for me to do this, let us know. Let your girl know in the chat, because we're just living life, you know. It's just vibes over here.
Vibes.
Vibes, you know.
Yes.
I'm gonna bring this up to like.
Oh, David says Nigeria and the diaspora produce some of the best creatives. So much talent.
Come on, David knows.
He knows. He knows.
He knows. Add a little bit of that fill there.
Yeah.
So you can see.
Okay.
A little bit of color coming in, seeping into the image. So all I did there was, sometimes I'll use the brush tool and pick a color that you might want. And I wanted to add more of an orange in there. I can add another layer.
Another layer, yeah.
And then throw in some orange and then bring down, you know, to make sure it blends a little bit more.
Yes.
So you can kind of mess around with that. I think one of the things I did do sometimes, what I will do that I might have done in the original image, I know I went and added in, so with the brush, little sparkle. So I have different, you know, brushes that are here. One of them is this little sparkle brush. That is, there we go. So you can see that I changed my brush
Ooh.
style.
Mm-hmm.
If I change this to white, actually I'm gonna cancel that and change this to white and zoom in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I can and increase my opacity a little bit. Let's do, I can add
Ooh.
a little sparkle in there.
Okay, I love that little
You know, just a
sparkle
little,
brush.
come on, add a little, I connect, I
Yes.
think there you go, like a little bling bling.
Uh-huh. I love it.
Oh my goodness, you can see before, after there, the dodging and burning, our color grade so far, and then even a little bit of that sunlight coming in.
Yes.
We can kind of bring down the opacity of it as well. And just
hi Jack, thanks for joining us.
You can keep
Some
playing.
people are just joining us now.
Oh, hey!
Love it.
Make sure y'all come back tomorrow.
Yes.
We'll have fun tomorrow as well.
I know. More editing, more color grading.
Yes.
Love it. Debbie says, ooh, this is coming out really cool.
Right?
Love the definition in the clouds, the polyfill.
Yes. Shout out to polyfill because the way that it came in clutch that day.
Mm-hmm. What's the weirdest prop that you've used in your self-portraits?
Weirdest prop. I really feel like maybe not prop, but I think this self-portrait was probably my most unique / weirdest one because I think this was just like some kind of string. Like
yeah,
that
what
I was just
was that?
So what I did was
okay, I hope you edit this one tomorrow.
Yeah. we can edit this one tomorrow.
Yeah.
What I did was I don't have this much hair on my I think I added extension. So I took my hair and put it in a bun. And then these were flowers that I just got from like Joanne. So I literally took the flowers and bunched them up and grabbed them by the stem.
Amazing.
And put them in the center of my head, right? Then I took before that point, actually, I had extensions. I just went to I got some curly extensions from the beauty supply store and wrapped them around to where the hair was like falling like this. Like it was kind of falling to my face all around the perimeter of that center bun. So then I took the stem, put it at the center. I had my sister help me to grab the hair and now pack it up so you can cover the stem so you don't see the stems anymore. And at the top is just the flowers. Amazing. And I took this string. I don't remember what kind. It was just some kind of like string that I found somewhere, and I just kept wrapping and wrapping and wrapping
it looks
until
it
stayed up. And then that way. So this is probably I think the weirdest style,
weirdest situation that he had to do. Yeah, I love it.
Everything else has been my hair is in a bun or something that's kind of usual that I would go outside. And I did not go outside this day. I did not go to the store looking like this. I had to make sure I took it out before. All right. So I think we're nearing our end. And again, so I'm going to go ahead and group this all together. And you can see.
Amazing.
That before and after.
Okay,
so if I wanted to save that and send it back into Lightroom,
then it'll pop up.
Then it'll pop up any moment now.
Love it. So good. If you guys have any last minute questions for Idara before we head out, let us know. Okay, yes, look at that.
And then bam. And if I wanted to, sometimes I come in here and I might add a little bit, just,
a little extra.
Just a little extra, Yep.
I love it.
That's our image. This is what we.
Wait, can I see the original or edit? Yes. The first. I'd love to see that.
Oh yes. I might even pull up off of what it looked like on my website. Yeah. This was the final image we're getting. Oh. We're almost bam, where to go? Right there.
Bam, right there.
So this was the original edit of the image. And this is what we just did today.
Ooh. So you played a lot more with the blues back then.
Oh
You took
yeah.
it to the extreme there.
I was just like, I wanted it to punch you in the face. And today I was feeling more of a little subtle blue. And then also like the one thing that I feel like I did here, I feel like I'm a little bit too saturated. So then learning, you know, you kind of just like
learning to pull it back a little bit.
Pull it back. Like it was a lot.
Yeah.
I wanted to look like an angel and be glowing, but it's a bit much.
Yeah.
So just knowing when you want to pull back and that's a part of the growth, you know, when you continue to edit, your eyes change. This is an image that was shot last year. And my eyes changed. There's probably more I would do to this image now, but at least like my skin tone wise is like where I want it to be, where I feel like it looks like myself naturally.
Yeah. Oh, that looks so good.
So we have fun day today, y'all. We did this one. The fuchsia is just giving.
Something else.
Wow, I'm actually shocked. So I'm obsessed. Tomorrow what we'll do is we'll edit this self-portrait, and then we'll also go into, you know, how to create a project. So like visual storytelling.
Yes.
I have this project on my website called Dreams, where I focused on, it was a kind of a project that focused on sisterhood. So there's a video here that if you all go to my website, you can see the video.
Sure.
But these are the images that came.
I'm obsessed. We'll get to talking about all that tomorrow. Oh, I'm so excited. You guys, thank you so much for, you know, joining us in this amazing stream with Idara. We had so much fun. You guys make sure to come back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. We are back at it, creating some more work. She's going to be showing you more techniques. So make sure to stick around because we've got an Illustrated Daily Creative Challenge with Cloudy right after, and then followed by editorial design with Lisa Seaford. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you tomorrow. So bye, Tara.
Bye.